Cheers, Canadian wine lovers. We are here in a new place that you haven't seen before, and we have a lot of Cabernet Franc open.
And we have a lot of Riesling open. So Canadian wine lovers, Carl's Wine Club members, everyone across the country. It is Tuesday.
Yeah.
I think so. It is.
Tasting Tuesday, tasting Thursday, wine Wednesday, Vendredi. I mean, there's a good reason every day to open some Canadian wine, isn't there?
But it is July and it's collab month. So every 3-4 days, we're going to provide you a new interview with a new offer. And this is really freaking exciting because we started legal, huh?
Yeah, we've done this before, but you can actually build a case as you go. So a lot of people are saying, take 2 or 3 of the Riesling, which is phenomenal.
Freaking fantastic.
Yeah, we do the Fogolar, and so they'll say, let's take 2 of those and 2 of those. And by the end of the month, if you have a case, it ships free. You don't have to pay for shipping.
Think if you have more than a case.
2 or 3 cases, which is the case for some people.
Someone asked me today, said, "Cal, what happens if I have more than a case?"
They have lots of cases. They're lucky, and it's fantastic.
So we started with divergence and just moved the first 3-4 days. Amazing Sauvignon Blanc, amazing sparkling, some top-notch Chardonnay that we brought to Burgundy with us, Viognier, with Saint Marcel Viognier, Syrah. So an incredible lineup with just and divergence. And we followed by Horseshoe Cellar with 2 Riesling geek, 2 Riesling maniac, and started their own project. And that Horseshoe Cellar got 93 points from myself and Mira.
And it was like a Mira, like a 5-glass Mira wine. It was fantastic. It was
Absolutely. And now we follow up with the founder of the collab group and the man behind the whole project, Marc Pistor at Fogolar Wine. And how many wine do we have here today?
Okay, so yeah, you just have to see there's this one, there's this one,
This one is a gift. This one is a special one.
You guys, whoever's listening to this show will get the story behind this one. It's phenomenal, and there's only 2 cases left. So if you're here, you're probably going to be the ones.
And there's this.
And then 4 Rieslings, right?
Yeah, 4 Riesling, 4 Cab Francs. We're talking about value wine. We're talking about single vineyard wine. We're talking about single malt wine. We're talking about terroir. And we are talking about a guy who had a vision, a guy who thought that, you know what, there's probably a bunch of people out there who would dream to be a winemaker. They have the skills to be a winemaker, but they just don't have the tools. And let's build something and bring people under the same roof and freaking going after their dream.
Yeah, so that's what it is. There's 7 producers we're featuring this month from Collab. Each of them have an amazing story, and they're all like our wine brothers and sisters. Like they really are wine nerds the way we are. Wine nerds when it comes to drinking the wine. They're wine nerds about making the wine.
Sorry, we're still without furniture, but
yeah. So we're in the middle of a bit of an emergency move, and it's going well, but
I don't have a stick cup. That's my biggest problem right now. I don't have a stick cup.
There we go. Yeah, I was just checking on some of you guys are not seeing us on the double view, but that's okay. Oh, just spitting right into the sink.
Right into the sink. If you don't have a stick cup, what do? You skip the stick cup steps.
Yeah. So if you're just coming in, we're about to interview Marc Pistor from Collab Wines in Niagara and talk about these 4 Cab Francs, these 4 Rieslings, some of the other wines he makes, some of the other things that he's excited about. So if you are a terroir nerd, if you love wine, if you love Canadian wine, Niagara wine, then you're in the right place.
Small batch wine.
Yes. Like this one that only has 2 cases left in the entire country and is freaking epic. Is this the one?
Yeah. See? Oh no! Not this one. Not this one. This one you have the Grimsby Hillside here.
Oh yeah.
Yours. That's the one. That's the one. 20. P20. Yeah, because we've been geeking out on Grimsby Hillside Vineyard, Riesling. We've been geeking out about Grimsby Hillside Chardonnay with Jeff, and I'm like, okay. And now we just opened the box, and we're like, okay, Grimsby Hillside Cab Franc and Grimsby Hillside Riesling. I mean, there's
Ilya Senchuk Leading Post even makes a Cab Sauv from
yeah,
Grimsby
absolutely,
Hillside.
absolutely.
It's one of the oldest places in Canada that's been continuously growing grapes for what, like 150 years in this vineyard. And so if you don't know where Grimsby Hillside is, we're going to get into the interview and you might hear this word. So let's see if I can flash it on the screen for a second. Oh, yeah.
There you go. You rock. Look at that. Look at that. Yeah, maybe. There you go. There you
Yeah.
go. Lincoln
So-
Lake Shore, right? That's Lincoln Lake Shore.
On the left side, if you look at the what color is that? Gold,
Yep.
yellow.
And also, we need to look at Vinemont Ridge because one of the things that Mark do, it's a lot of wine from Picon Vineyard. So from Picon is in the Vinemont Ridge appellation. So one in front of the other, right?
Yeah. So my understanding is this Grimsby Hillside Vineyard is like far towards Toronto.
Yeah, near Hamilton.
Near Hamilton.
Near Hamilton,
Yeah.
right?
So there you go.
But what the thing with Lincoln Lakeshore, it's the close one of the closest appellation from the lake.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm no terroir geek like Marc Pistor is. So let's not
Let's
wait
bring him
any
in.
longer. Let's bring him in. Come on.
Mark,
Yeah.
so nice to see you. I'll be right over here.
There we go.
Mark, how's
Good
it
to see you
going,
too.
man?
Thanks for having me on. I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Oh man, thank you. Thanks. Welcome to our new home. You're the first one. You're the first guest ever to come into our new home. So we're happy to have
There
you
we
on.
go. That's fantastic. I'm glad the move went okay
Yeah.
and
I
everybody
have
settled in.
no seats, no nothing, but I have Fogolar wines and I have my computer and I have you. So this is pretty slick here. What do you have in your glass, Mark?
So yeah, I went with 2 glasses because we got a lot of wines to get through, and I was really interested in tasting them again. I don't always get back to all of my wines all the time, and it's been a couple months for the Old Vines Piconi Vineyard for sure. And so I'm going dry to sweet first, and then so I'll go Piconi Vineyards Old Vines, and then the 2020 Hughes Riesling in my second glass. So.
Oh, show the bottle to me. Sorry you cut off here.
Yeah, I'm not having enough
Is
fully
this,
here
is this the one that you have here? The used 2020 Riesling?
Yep. So the Old Vines first.
There
And
you
the
go.
Hughes
There you go.
Hughes
Give me a
2020
second here.
second.
There you go. That's awesome. That is awesome. So, Mark, so you let me know, okay? If you hear me properly, I hope I'm not cutting off. I want to know, people who are tuning in today, let us know where you're tuning from. Let us know what is in your glass. We have Riesling and Cap Franc here, and we're just about to have a ton of fun talking about Fogolar wine and Marc Pistor. So, Mark, let's start about a little bit of your background, okay? Tell us a little bit, how did you get started? Where did you go to school? Are you an Niagara College guy? Are you an Ontario guy? What is your background, and how the heck did you end up by running the whole show with Marion Essen and started Collab? Tell me,
Yeah,
I want
so
to know
it's
the story.
yeah. All right. So and hopefully I remember all the pieces, but I have told it a bunch, but I really enjoyed it. I started a biology degree at the University of Ottawa and got a job at a wine rack store and absolutely fell in love with wine. I thought, man, this looks cool. And Brock University in Covey was in its early days. They had a couple of graduating classes by the time I had read about it in a magazine while working at the wine shop. And I got to taste a bottle of 1998 Inniskillin Reserve Cab Franc. that Carl Kaiser would have made at the time. And honestly, what I tasted in that glass, knowing very little about wine at that point, changed my mind about what I wanted to do, I think, overall. And so I applied to transfer to Covey at Brock University, and I completed my enology and viticulture degree at Brock. And in the meantime, continued to work at wine rack stores at Jackson Triggs in the retail space, and then did my co-op degree in British Columbia at Jackson Triggs Okanagan, and met Bruce Nicholson there. I came back to Ontario in 2006 and 7. I did a teaching degree and didn't have a job in the fall of 2007, and Bruce Nicholson had just come back across and took over the winemaking roles at Inniskillin after Carl. And well, after Carl and a couple of winemakers in between, but he took over the whole operation, including ice wine, and Carl was fully exiting the business. And I sent him an email and said, Mr. Nicholson, he still makes fun of me to this day. I said, Mr. Nicholson, do you need any help for vintage? And he said yes. And I came down and worked my first crush first like full on crush in Niagara at Inniskillin. And you know, I'd sort of been in love with it since. I've had the opportunity when I was at the time it was Vincor, then Constellation, and then now it's called Arterra. But when I was there, I had an opportunity to work with great winemakers, Marco Piccoli, Bruce Nicholson, Thomas Batchelder, and I'm certain I'm missing others. And it really allowed me to develop, Lubomir Popovici, really allowed me to develop pretty quickly in terms of what my experience was. I was working at the big plant. I was had a responsibility of between 10 and 14,000 tons a year of grapes right across all of the varietals, and got to see a lot of what we do, both through the eyes of the winemakers at the estates as well as at the big production facility. And in 2014, was thinking about getting back into education. In the meantime, needed to make a little bit of money, and my friend Fred DeProfio had a small consultation business, and he had some clients that he could use support on. So I entered into his business, and we ran that together until about 2020, when we ended up dividing our businesses. I had launched Fogolar Wines in 2015, and I really wanted to get to where we're at today with Collab. And I don't know that was necessarily where he was at. So we made the decision to sort of separate the business. And over the next couple of years, I was able to demonstrate to the ownership at Marinison and convince the ownership that hosting these wineries was good economically for both sides. And, you know, really it's about passion but I had to find that space, and you know, I'm just grateful that Marinison has allowed it, and they've been really, really grateful. Are really, really great partners in what this is. I think you're cut out there, Carl.
Well, yeah, a little bit here, but okay. I got you back, Mark.
Yep.
I believe. Can you hear me?
Did you miss
properly?
most of that?
Yeah. So I can't. Yeah. I heard it. I heard most of the story. Is it just Summerland in general or what? But here, for what I know of the story here with like the incredible background before Fogolar, and so I mean with your background in Inniskillin and all of that, so Riesling was kind of a natural continuation for you, or is it a passion that you developed, or something that you really had? Riesling was something that you absolutely wanted to go after.
In 2002, 2001, 2002, right when I first started drinking wines, honestly, I was trying stuff from around the world and drinking a lot of Ontario. And it was Riesling and Cabernet Franc from the beginning, you know, and the more I learned about wines, the more that these two varietals really appealed to me. I like food wines, and I like wines that do well in our climate, and these are two great varieties that do extremely well. I like the interest of Cab Franc. You know, some of the early wines that I fell in love with were like good Chianti, and I see a lot of similarities between what Cab Franc offers and what Sangiovese offers overall as a grape variety, what it does on the table, the foods that we can eat it with, and just the complexity, you know, medium weight, great acidity, and it's in both of these grape varietals. And once I started making these grape varietals, I also discovered that there are opportunities to sort of experience the best of what Niagara has to offer in what these varietals can do. And so went down the path of trying to find places and places that really looked unique and tasted great. So.
That's all. And now, so okay, Riesling on the one side, and I mean on the other side, this is I would say the poster child of Niagara success story in terms of red, because in order to debunk the myth of Ontario cannot produce big Bordeaux grape varietal, Niagara, I would say, absolutely excel delivering outstanding Cab Franc more than only in big vintage. I would say vintage and vintage. Cab Franc became the absolute success story of Niagara. But you've been into the Cab Franc bandwagon much before that everything started to be so obvious that Cab Franc is the grape of Niagara. And so for you, working with smaller lots, smaller parcel, smaller block was always in your DNA, right?
Yeah, I wanted to take a look at Niagara through the same lens that Thomas approaches, you know, Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, or, you know, like Horseshoe Cellars is really trying to investigate on Riesling, and spend some years producing from different blocks around Niagara, and have really now settled back into two specific blocks, hopefully sort of moving forward. And I think that's more just it's very difficult for me to make that many wines and be able to sell them all. So I found two places that I really love, and I get to experience them every year. And I still make wines for Inniskillin, as well as produce Cab Francs from the vineyards that Liebling harvests from, as well as from Mio Vineyard. So, you know, it's been really, really exciting to get the opportunity to taste through, to sort of make wines from each of those individual parcels. So I just thought that a grape variety that performs well year after year after year might be able to demonstrate uniqueness in the place that it was grown. That was what, you know, sort of I wanted to set out to discover. There were single varietal example or single vineyard examples being produced in Niagara, but, you know, there's some influence from winemakers in those, and being able to sort of have a better idea and a closer picture of it was sort of important for me at the beginning of my Fogolar project.
Carl, you want to come here?
Well, okay,
Come.
maybe.
Here you are. Yeah, try this. So just stand here. And so I don't know if you heard that last part about his Fogolar project, and where were we?
Yeah, so I think Carl missed some of it, but I know the people online did, so I won't repeat too much. But
Yeah.
I think you're completely right. When I started the Fogolar project, I really wanted to understand Cab Franc and what the influences of where it was grown are on the finished product. And that was an important component to what this project was, along with Riesling. I started off doing it just trying to, like, I would harvest from different vineyards, but oftentimes I would just blend. Once I started with Bocconi, the single vineyard idea was something that I had to sort of go down. And I have produced from different vineyards throughout the years, and now I've settled on Grimsby Hillside and Bocconi from Fogolar, but I still work with multiple vineyards in the region. So the Openlanders, vineyard on 4 Mile Creek, Corey Mio's vineyard in another part of Lincoln Lakeshore, which is a very diverse sub-appellation, and Cab Franc from Bach Vineyard, and the stuff from Mira Vineyard, which I think is an absolutely amazing site for the varietal.
I mean, this might be it's like an obvious here for people, but for people here in BC, the biggest difference between let's say the Niagara on the lake sites and the one from the escarpment. I mean, because like we're hearing from you what you're doing from the Mira vineyard, from the Openlander vineyard also, but on the other side, you got Lincoln Lakeshore, you also got Grimsby Hillside, which could be its own appellation on its own. What is the main difference working with Cab Franc from the Niagara on the Lake or versus from the escarpment?
Yeah, what I've experienced is that the site and the vineyard practices influence the finished expression. I find slightly more than terroir, and I think that's just the nature of what Cab Franc is. That's been my experience, and I've spent
that's an interesting answer.
I've spent a long time trying to say that I think that there's a way to express terroir in Cabernet Franc, and I find that the wines look like where they're from, but they do less of that than Chardonnay does. They do less of it than Pinot does, and they do less of it than Riesling does. Not to say that each individual unique parcel doesn't have its own expression. It's that the overall terroir, it's harder to discover or see a clear delineation between those. I will say that stuff from Niagara on the Lake in better draining soils does tend to produce a fuller, riper, richer Cab Franc than some of the more shallow soils that we see on the bench. And then the other stuff is sort of temperature and also sort of vineyard practices related more so than what I've experienced in Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, and Riesling. And, you know, it's an unfortunate thing. I've had these discussions with Jeff Moot for the last sort of 3 or 4 years as I got further into looking for that uniqueness, is that I didn't really see it. And I know that he holds some of those same thoughts, but we really do find unique sites that we really love the expression of. And the thing is that they're consistent year after year after year, but it doesn't paint the same picture that Pinot or Riesling or Chardonnay does. And that's just, I think, the nature of the grape and the nature of the winemaking and how it fully expresses. But I will say one thing that does bode well for Cab Franc overall, because it does just allow us to be able to make great Cab Franc from right across the region and not have a specific site. I think it really, really well suited for what we have here in Niagara.
I think you're bang on. You're bang on that. And for me, as a taster, when I taste Cab Franc from all over the country, you mentioned for me bigger, juicier, a little bolder. And when you get to the escarpment, the minerality on the finish, I think it's much more obvious. So I think it finishes very differently. And the mid palate is a little bit more opulent. It is a little bit more juicy on the Niagara on the Lake sites, right?
We're talking about expressions from relatively disparate places. And so my comment about terroir expression is that, you know, a lot of the stuff in any similar, like the grape isn't as impacted by where it's grown as much. I do see those differences. I do. I believe that they're there. I wanted to see more between each of the individual sites, considering how different they were. And oftentimes I would be able to go out and buy Wismar Foxcroft, you know, which is kind of near where the Peconi Vineyard is, and then Grimsby Hillside Vineyard, and not see the same consistent the same level of differences that we see in Pinot Noir or Chardonnay from those different areas. But
I have to say, though, I don't want to be a little bit of to come back and challenge you on something, but I just tasted Picon and Grimsby Hillside 2023 Cab Franc, and I feel like the Picon is a little looser on the mid palate. Grimsby, it's a little bit more directional. Grimsby has a little bit more tension. Is it just me, or is it what I should expect from these two vineyards?
No, so it was a unique year for Piconi in 23. It didn't perform the same as Grimsby did. I might have been a touch heavy than I wanted on crop levels, especially compared to where Grimsby Hillside got down to. 23 in Ontario was a smoke vintage for us. We had an absolutely perfect summer, except most of it was marred by a covering of smoke and that reduced temperatures and reduced sunlight. And so we didn't get the full development that we normally do. And so Piconi was harvested late, came in cold. I never got it warm in a tank. I couldn't get it heated up by the time it finished primary fermentation, and it really results in a different wine afterwards. I would say the 23 holds a lot of what Piconi normally shows, which is purple fruit and red pepper. And then the Grimsby Hillside is very consistent year to year. This particular block that's in this wine, we use at Marinison for a couple of wines as well, or at least as a blending component. And
darker fruit, a little stony, like that gravelly, long-lasting tannin.
Yep, darker fruit and the granite expression is characteristic of Grimsby's Cab Francs for sure. And Piconi brings, roasted red pepper and generally more tannin and a really specific acid profile. And that's what's consistent about that site. And the thing is, yeah, I mean, it's there. We could find differences. That's not to say that, yes, I mean,
they're not as obvious, and I totally agree with you. Like when you put Chardonnay, or even like the Riesling. I mean, we tasted it. When you get to your Riesling from the North Block to the old vines, I mean, these wines are completely different, right?
Yeah, and they express differently every year, and it's the same clone, and they're grown right next to each other. It's just the soil, the aspect and the soils are completely different. The old vines are on a slope, and the North Block is on the super, super shallow soil at the bottom of the hill. And that whole vineyard, it's considered Vinemount Ridge, but that's the hill that leads into the 20 Valley. So it's right on the sort of border line. I would think the Cab Franc should be Vinemount Ridge because it's actually on top of the hill and flat, but the rest of the vineyard is a giant slope. And the old vines taste different, and they're not that much different in years, about 7 years. So at this point, you should start to see them even out. But North Block expresses so differently than Old Vines does, and it's just an absolute pleasure to work with for the last few years. And I get to see the expression. Tantalus took some a couple of years ago, and Charles Baker at Stratus Wines takes some of those grapes every year. So I get to see sort of what the impact of other wineries is on the grape itself. And what I find is that it's minimal because the vineyard really pushes through. So.
I mean, this is incredible. I didn't realize that there were the old vines and the North Block were that close. And these two wines are drastically different. And it's crazy. I didn't expect that answer. And in terms of winemaking, is it the absolute same winemaking, or there's a little difference with your fermentation, or you don't do oak fermentation or anything?
There's a difference in those two wines in terms of how I approached it from a winemaking point of view, but that's not what's driving the expression differences. I've seen North Block fermented dry, and right beside Old Vines fermented dry in the 23 vintage, and the differences are night and day.
They're crazy. Let's talk about the Noble Selection. Because I couldn't find any technical information, so I'm really excited to have you here.
I got to work on that. But
that's totally fine. Let's keep it secret because this is a 92-point wine with the Noble Selection. I love the botrytis. I love, especially in the Riesling, when you bring a little bit of texture, that little back palate, mid palate of botrytis. So, what is the percentage here?
Yeah, I mean, it was so exciting when I saw it happening in the vineyard, and I was like, I'm just gonna wait. So all the old vines for the dry and the old vines for the noble selection were both harvested in like November 7th, I believe. So we're well into November, full ripeness on both of them. The old vines is 100% clean selected, and when we were out in the vineyard, anything that I would try just went into different crates, and then I pressed those separately. And by my estimation, we're about 25% botrytis affected in those clusters. I wasn't gonna cut it all out and try to increase it. It was 9 o'clock when I delivered the grapes, and I had to start the press. So it was a long day of picking. We got through it though, and I was just really excited to be able to try to make it. And so we pressed that out at about 26 or 26 and a half bricks, and it was slightly below where you can use the VQA regulated terms like botrytis affected or totally botrytis affected. So I had to figure out a way to sort of at least hint to people that that's what's in it. So noble selection sort of came out, and that's essentially what it was. I was selecting noble rot in the vineyard for this harvest, and then fermented and stopped below or at 10%, or my goal is normally to be below 10%. I really like not having a lot of alcohol to when I'm going to have that much sugar, residual sugar in these wines. And the first time that I tried this after I bottled it, I was ecstatic. It's sort of the wine that I maybe would have set out to make 20 years ago when I started in this business. The 2020 Cab Franc that we're going to have as well in a couple of minutes here is one of those wines. But man, was I ever just super excited to put this into a bottle.
How many cases did you make of the noble selection just for fun?
I think we put down 75 cases at the end of the day.
75 cases, eh?
Yeah.
Wow, this is awesome. This is awesome. Okay, let's talk about the 2020 Picon Cab Franc, okay? Because there's 2 cases of that outstanding wine left available. And that's so funny because I did some tasting notes yesterday. I refreshed, and I'm like in the middle of the move doing stuff, and I just came to the new house. I popped the cork, and the nose, when it came out, I'm like, whoa, this is outstanding. The second day now of that wine is just like, holy shit, it's mind-boggling.
So the sort of really grapey purple licorice with red pepper is what Piconi does. And the thing is about the 23 is it's sort of like a really pulled back version of what you see in the 20. That's why I was okay with putting it in a bottle, because I thought it still looked like Piconi Vineyard. I thought it still looked like my wine. My initial goal with the 2020 was to release it at $54.95, but I didn't end up there eventually. And so $29.95 is an absolute steal, and that's what I sort of kept it at for the whole thing. Those wines will range between $30 and $40 depending on the vintage. That's how I've always treated that single vineyard itself. But for these 2 cases, $29.95 for anyone who gets them right now. They get, I don't know, they're going to really enjoy this wine. It's just special. I mean, that year was special. This wine looks the way that it's supposed to. It's awesome to open it up again, or to have an excuse to open it up. At least I think it has 10 years in it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Sure. The acid is still lifted. The mid palate's still bright. The tannins are all there. I mean, yes,
they're still forward or mid. Yeah, it's not dry on the finish.
There's so much more going on. And I mean, like, for people who know 2020 vintage, people who know from Ontario, I mean, there's no green note in there. It's all red pepper jelly. It's all anise. It's all dark fruit, holy smoke. And there's that little bit of a stony minerality, but very subtle compared
It's
to
subtle
the
compared to the Grimsby. I agree.
compared to Grimsby.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And a little bit of white black pepper on the finish. It is absolutely stunning.
It's
When you
really
did-
cool right now.
and you know what, Mark? I've been tasting wine with Mira for 6 years, like on a daily basis. And I know sometimes when she looks for my eye contact and she kind of come like looking at me to see if I'm looking at her, I knew that that's where I look at what's on in her glass, and I'm like, that's the one. She was looking for my eyesight on that one. It is, I think it's a Mira approved 5 glasses or a full bottle. A full bottle, leave me alone.
That's cool. Okay. Yeah, I'm so excited at where it's at right now. I will like I'll hold on to 6 or 8 bottles now so that I can see it over the next sort of 15 years.
This is
just a
gonna
really
last.
exciting one. So
Mark, I mean, like our next trip to Europe, like when I do Bordeaux or if I do Loire Valley, I want to bring a bottle of that with me to show people out there what do we do here. But also, I had that kind of same reaction with the used vineyard Riesling 2020. I usually am a little bit on the break for Riesling on the 2020 vintage. I ended up with some Riesling with the lack of acidity at certain point throughout my journey. I popped that one a couple of days ago, and this is a 92 plus. That used 2020 is just shining right now.
I just opened it for the first time in a while tonight. And that vineyard is exceptional. 2021 was my last, 2022 was my last year with it. It's located in Vineland proper, right near the highway, sort of right across the street from some of Cape Springs' favorite vineyards. And Ed Hughes was the grower, and he did such an amazing job growing. It's just, I don't know, that site was so consistent year after year after year, held acidity so perfectly that I just knew that if I picked at 18.5 bricks and I fermented to 9% alcohol, I would have 28 grams of residual sugar, and that would be the perfect balance. And that's the wine that I would end up with. And it was just so fun to work with it because it was so consistent and it was delicious.
That's predictable, eh? That's predictable.
And I will say this, 2020, I didn't run into any issues with Riesling. And I don't know, it just might be that I'm pretty aggressive on acid picks for Riesling. And I don't, sugar or ripeness, that's not a thing. Not ripeness, but sugar, not a thing. Taste and acid in the vineyard, that's what I pick on. And normally I can be fairly correct just walking through. And 2020, some of my favorite Rieslings, and a lot of my favorite reds, some of my favorite shards, and a lot of my favorite reds. And that was the beauty of what 2020 was. I know we have a 2024 in the lineup. I don't know if we'll get to it tonight, but it's my white label at 1995.
Yeah.
24 was such a good vintage for a lot of things, and Cab Franc was one of them.
Yeah.
But it's way too jammy and like it's really, really approachable. It's really easy to drink. I don't think anyone should get any. But I was just smelling it beside the 2020 just to sort of be into it. And then I bottle the 24 Old Vines and the 24 Piconi Cab Franc at the end of August. And they're monsters. They're delicious. They're in perfect shape.
At the end of August?
Yeah. August 19th, the 24s go down. So, and they're going to be really, really exciting wines. The Grimsby Hillside is now Old Vines. I don't produce out of the block that you tasted here tonight. I produce out of their Old Vines block, which is just a dream. And again, it shows a lot like Grimsby does with that sort of really granite minerality. And then the Piconi from 24 was perfect. And the cool thing is that year I sold some grapes to Derek Barnett at Meldville, and I've tasted his Piconi Cab Franc beside my Piconi Cab Franc, and I just hope I can finish it anywhere near what his amazing
You're
hands
too humble.
Yeah, I know he did an amazing job. So I'm really excited to sort of see, does the vineyard win into winemakers' hands? And that's going to help me sort of better understand what terroir expression can be in Cab Franc. But, you know, I sort of opened up with like, I'm still searching, but I don't see it as clearly. And this was a good test. So 2 years in a row, 24 and 25, Derek's had grapes from Piconi, the same as I have, takes them on the same day. He just ferments them at his place. And those would be cool to sort of see beside each other as well.
I mean, Mark, you're a perfectionist. I mean, yeah, it's awesome. What you're doing, Mark, is off the chart. I love surfing the terroir through you. I love surfing the terroir to your skills. Chardonnay, Riesling, Cabernet Franc, you're doing an incredible job. And yes, the 2024 white label Cab Franc is going to be in the four options for the Cab Franc,
Yeah.
4 option also for the Riesling, 3 2023. So a beautiful horizontal of 2023. Picon with the Noble Selection, the North Block, and the Old Vines. And I included the 2020 used vineyard because it's a stunner. And on the Cab Franc level,
I mean,
the 223 Grisby Hillside alongside the Picon, the 2020 Picon, and the 2024 Value 1995. Are you kidding me? And yeah, you are crushing it, my friend. I'm so excited to get out there to send the order form to all of our members because I mean they got to go nuts on that.
Especially that 2020.
Oh yeah, 2020 Picon.
I love it.
Holy smoke.
yeah,
I love
you
it.
got 24 bottles, so hopefully you guys can keep
Oh
it.
my God.
Yeah, they're going to be gone by the end of the night. So, Mark, thank you so much. Sorry for the little problem at the beginning.
I think we got through it. I could talk sort of enough that I kept us going. It's just you weren't able to hear all the answers. But no, I appreciate it, and I love what you guys do for the Canadian wine industry and working with us this month. I think it's great to see the energy and the passion of all the guys that I get to work with on a regular basis. It's been really fun tonight. I got to open a bunch of my own wines, so now I get to finish them at some point.
And this is build your own case all July, the whole month. It's a whole collab. Marc Pistor at Fogolar. We had Jeff Moot at Divergence. Yesterday we were with Horseshoe Cellar with the Riesling, and we keep going the whole week and the whole rest of July. Mark, thank you so much. Have a good evening. I'm sure there's not going to be one drop of that 2020 Picon left in your glass, and there's sure not going to be anything left here either. So thank you, Mark. Have a good one.
Okay. Enjoy, guys. Have fun.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark. See you soon. Have a
There
great
you
night.
go. Canadian wine lovers, there's only 24 bottles of that Picon Cabernet Franc 2020 vintage, only 24. $29.95, including tax. This is a steal of a deal. This is a 93 plus point Carl's Wine Club. Yeah, amazing. Only 24. Shoot me a note if you want to put
Pre-reserve it because that'll come out tomorrow morning at
So yeah, at this point, we need to bring the bed back in the new house. We need to do our little welcome to our new place. Get the pizza. Tomorrow.
I want to show these guys, whoever's on.
Yes, let's
if you
go.
haven't said hi in the chat, you get the first view out of our new spot here. Look at those vineyards. Isn't that beautiful?
There you go. Now, Mira, you go right in front here. There you go. So that's your host here. There you go.
Hospital for me today.
Yes, unfortunately.
But it's looking good, guys, because we are able to do a quick emergency move and hopefully
Everything is
better.
should we go on the patio?
There is going to be interference. At the
Oh,
sound
okay.
over
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. So anyhow, here is
Thanks
both of
for
us.
stopping by. We're going to be back on tomorrow for Wine Wednesday.
Oh yeah. True.
So we have Tasting Thursday too with the collab guys coming up August 27th.
Yes.
That's a Thursday before the long weekend. So mark that date, you guys. That's a great night to do like a barbecue. And you'll have all the wines that you can order this month.
Yep.
You'll have them already, and then we'll revisit them with these winemakers
Yeah.
on a Zoom, so you can actually like taste them, ask questions. It's really fun, guys.
That's gonna be
It sounds
awesome.
simple, but it's super fun.
Oh no, it will be absolutely fantastic. What did you really think of the Picon 2020?
I love it.
I know, right? I know.
I
So
think, we have a bit of a vertical of Mark's wines from over
Yes.
the years.
yes, I do.
We
I do.
At some point, we need to open that.
Maybe
Yeah.
I have an idea.
What's your idea?
I have an idea.
What's your idea?
I mean, we need to do a welcome party, right?
Oh, a welcome. Yes. Yes.
Or maybe the August long, Mira's birthday.
Okay, so guys, there's 2 spots left for my birthday weekend that we're touring with members of the Okanagan. If you guys are thinking of coming for the August long weekend, shoot us a note because we have 2 spots. And there is also room in September, end of September. I think
Yes.
there's 4 or 6 spots left for touring end of September for OK Falls.
Okay, Paul Chardonnay,
Our August
Pardon?
1st, we're gonna be doing Naramata Bench, which is
Yeah.
like tons of different.
we're gonna do Tempranillos, we're gonna do Barbera, we're gonna do Syrah, we're gonna do
Maybe some
Merlot.
Muscat Autumnal, which I love, from Hillside.
We have to talk about it.
So Hillside Winery, one of the originals on the Naramata Bench, okay? They recently started doing for some of their VIPs a heritage vineyard tour with the winemaker. And they have a great restaurant on site there
Oh,
too.
yeah.
So we're gonna kick off that weekend with a little happy hour and vineyard tour of one of the oldest sites
The
for,
oldest gamay block in the
In the whole
entire,
country.
the entire Canada
Mhm.
is at Hillside. We are going to tour and taste different vintages of the gamay
oh my God.
in the vineyard with Canty Malone. Okay, so Friday night of August
That'd be great.
4th weekend, Mira's birthday.
Can you see our face there? Yeah.
Yeah,
Help her.
there you go. So hey, welcome to the new us, and thank you for
Cheers, guys.
tuning on. Marc Pistor, you rock. I am so excited to go back to the glasses because there's some stunning wine here to get through it. And we'll talk to you tomorrow at Wine Wednesday.
There you
Thank
go.
Canadian Wine
Cheers.
lovers, Squirrels Wine Club members. See you tomorrow.